Okay. So if I have a chemical compound that's covalent versus ionic, Mara, what are you going to tell me? Yep. So I would be able to recognize this because it's a nonmetal plus a nonmetal. If it were ionic, how would I recognize that? Somebody besides Mara. Ellen, can you help me? Yeah. It's a metal and a nonmetal. So maybe we should put that in there again to get it in your brain. Ionic is a metal plus a nonmetal. There we go. So we're going to talk about how we name binary molecular compounds. Sorry. So the first thing we do, generally speaking, the name of the element farther to the left on the periodic table, so that tells me it's closest to the metals, is normally written first. So if you're given two, look at them and see which one is farther left. That's the one you use first. There's one exception to this. If I have a compound with oxygen and chlorine, bromine, iodine, fluorine, really we can say any halogen, the oxygen is written last. That's the only exception. A halogen with oxygen. You write the halogen first. Second thing, we'll say if both elements are in the same group, the one closer to the bottom of the table is named first. So farther left, bottom of the table, named first. Third rule, the name of the second element gets the IDE. And we'll see what that means. It means just like we do with all of our halogen ions when we drop the INE and we add IDE, anything that's the second part of a binary molecular compound ends in IDE. You just drop its ending, add IDE, and we'll do some, so you'll see what that means. And then the last thing Number 4, Greek prefixes are used to indicate the number of each element present. I should say really atoms of element present. There's one exception here that you have to remember. The prefix mono is never used on the first element. So we never use mono on the first element. We're about to get the prefixes. Oh, hold on. So if you only have one of the first element or first atom, you don't use that prefix. The other thing we have to remember, it's not really an exception, this is more of a rule. If the prefix ends in a vowel and the name of the second element starts with a vowel, the A or O, because they all end in either A or O, in the prefix is dropped. Okay, so let's get our prefixes. And actually, I don't know, these are pretty easy. Might be something you want cards for, doesn't really matter to me, but if that's something that helps you, then you can take a little time today and make cards and add them to your cards. So we'll go 1 through 10. One is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 is penta, 6 is hexa, 7 is hepta, octa, nona, and deca. So they're easy. They're ones you've heard before. So now I'm going to give you 3. Well, we'll just do them one at a time. Let's say you have 2 oxygen and 1 sulfur. So go ahead and pull out your periodic table. Let's practice a couple of them. The first thing you have to do, and sometimes you're just given the formula and you have to name it, but if you're not, you need to know what to do with it. So the first thing you need to look at is you need to find sulfur and oxygen and see where they are in the periodic table. The one that is closer to the metals should be written first. Are sulfur and oxygen in the same group? Yes. So then what's the next rule? The one farther down is written first. Which one's farther down, oxygen or sulfur? Sulfur. Good. So I know I write my sulfur first. S. So then I only have left oxygen, and there are two of them. So I would say SO2. So then do I say monosulfur dioxide? No, I just say sulfur dioxide. All right, now you try this one. Say we have 5 chlorine and 1 phosphorus. See what you can do with that. Got it? You think you got it? Kale, which one do I write first? Okay, phosphorus. And I only have one, so I just put P, which means my Cl has to be second with a 5 after it. Kaylee, how did you name that? Yep, phosphorus pentachloride, okay? One more. Gotta think a little more about this one. Let's say I have 3 oxygen and 2 chlorine. Try that one. Stand up when you have it. Okay, let's see if we all agree. Hey, Jacob, what'd you put first? He put oxygen first. How many oxygens? 3. What'd you put second, Jacob? Cl2. Now, stay standing if you agree with him. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Oh, you stand alone. All right, so most of you flipped. It's okay, Jacob. Most of you flipped back to that exception and caught it. Some of you didn't. So, what should I be doing here? I should be putting my halogen first. That's the exception, O3. And how would I say that? What do you think, Braden?
I put dichloride trioxide.
Yep, dichloride trioxide. Okay? You like this better than the other stuff? A little bit easier. Okay, so we have multiple things we're going to work on today. Shut this off. Bye, Chloe.